Okay, so when it says the wall of Babylon shall fall, it may refer to Wall Street. So if that's the case, then that's another reason that North America may actually be the continent that it's referring to, that it's saying the asteroid will hit. So it says, my people go out of the midst of her. So that's a reference to the rescue of the bride, but it also may refer to the remnant who will literally flee into the wilderness. But it says again, those spoilers will come from the north. As Babylon has caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of the earth. So again, there were fulfillments of this in ancient times, but in the end time, like we've been looking at, the word Israel refers to all of humanity. So it's saying, as Babylon has caused the slain of humanity to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of the earth. So I don't think that in the end time it's referring to the little horn in the Middle East. Then it says, a cry comes from Babylon, from the land of the Chaldeans. Her waves do roar like great waters, and she will be burned with fire. So that's two things right there. Her waves roar. That's the asteroid. We're told in Revelation, the asteroid hits the sea, and she will be burned with fire. That seems to be the nuclear event. So two things, the asteroid and the nuclear event. And Revelation 9 makes that clear. It says first the asteroid will hit, then the war will happen, and then the 5 months of torment. So here it says, I will make her princes drunk. They shall sleep a perpetual sleep. So that seems to be the dumbing down, the pharmaceuticals, etc. And the reason I say that is it talks about Babylon's sorceries, quote unquote, all throughout these books. And the origin for the word pharmacy literally means spells, poisoning, witchcraft, charm, enchantment. And the preparer of the drugs, the pharmacist, the origin of that word means sorcerer. So when it says Babylon's princes will sleep a perpetual sleep, it's probably referring to the sorceries that it says over and over, and we'll look at some of that later. But it says all throughout the text that Babylon is conducting sorceries. So it seems to be referring to the drugs here, the pharmaceuticals. And people have been coming out in recent years claiming they were part of a large agenda to get everyone on medication. And I think that was even part of the communist agenda that came out in the 1960s before Kennedy was killed, that 1963 report, if I'm not mistaken. So the pharmaceutical drugs and just the drugs in general, it seemed to be a big part of the fall of Babylon. And that seems to be what they're talking about here. I will make her princes drunk and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep. They're dumbed down. And then Isaiah 43 confirms the rescue again. It says, fear not, Jacob. In other words, humanity. Fear not, humanity. I have redeemed you. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. Let all the nations be gathered together. So that seems to refer to the multitude bride, the assembling of all tribes and nations, the rescue. And then here it's talking to the witnesses. It says, let the nations be gathered together. Let them bring forth their witnesses. You are my witnesses whom I have chosen. There is none that can deliver out of my hand. I have sent you to Babylon and the Chaldeans, basically. I will make a way in the wilderness. And it confirms that this is the true God talking, because again it says, I have not caused you to offer up dead animals to me. I am he that blots out your transgressions and will not remember your sins. So over and over through these texts, it's telling us that it's just, there are two different, there's the beast that wants you to sacrifice animals to it. That's the false god that the empire created. And then there's the true God. And over, it says in here, whenever the true God is talking, it says, I did not ask you to sacrifice animals to me. I don't like that. So it says it all throughout the text. But this seems to be referring to the rescue again. And then in Isaiah 47, it says, O daughter of Babylon, O daughter of the Chaldeans, get thee into darkness. O daughter of the Chaldeans, the lady of kingdoms. You said you will be a lady forever. You were given to pleasures and dwelt carelessly, and say in your heart that you will not sit as a widow. Okay, that everybody knows that's a reference to Revelation 17. But I just happen to notice that it's saying the daughter, the lady is the daughter of Babylon here. And I just wonder if that's a reference to the Statue of Liberty. I know other people have said that, and I never thought it was. But I'm going to show you later the word liberty is in here. I don't know. I don't know if the daughter of Babylon is the United States or not. I'm not saying that it is, but it might be. So let's just keep reading. It says, these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. And it refers to all of that again in Revelation. It's the asteroid followed by the war. It says, desolation shall come upon you suddenly. Stand now in your enchantments and with the multitude of your sorceries. So again, that refers to the drugs. Then it says, and the pharmaceuticals, not just the illegal drugs, but the pharmaceutical drugs as well. Then it says, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. Then it talks about here in Isaiah 48, it talks about the country of Israel, which swear by the name of the Lord, but not in truth nor in righteousness. It says they call themselves the holy city, but they're not. And Revelation tells us Jerusalem comes down out of heaven. So that makes sense. It's not a city on the earth. They call themselves the holy city, but they're not. It tells you that right there. So the holy city is actually the bride of all tribes and nations that are rescued and taken to the safe place in heaven for 3.5 years. That's New Jerusalem. It tells us that in Revelation 21. New Jerusalem comes down out of heaven. So it's saying right here, O house of Jacob, that calls itself by the name of Israel, but not in truth, which swears by the name of the Lord, but not in truth. They call themselves the holy city, but not in truth. Okay, and then it says, I knew you would deal very treacherously. It says in verse 5, God knew what they would do from the beginning. So this confirms again that is the reason the texts are in code, because God knew they would change the times and the laws. It says that in Daniel. So the true message is in the codes, the riddles. Both Jesus and Gabriel said that. So this confirms that right here, that God is saying, I knew from the beginning what you were going to do. That's why I wrote all this in codes and riddles. It's just more confirmation right there. I knew you would deal very treacherously. And then it says, but for my name's sake, I will defer my anger. And then again, it talks about the rescue. Hearken, humanity, assemble yourselves. He will do his pleasure on Babylon, and his arm shall be on the Chaldeans. And I think it's talking about the beast right there, because again, we're told the beast is the one that causes that nuclear event. And then it says, go forth of Babylon, flee from the Chaldeans. The Lord has redeemed Jacob. That's humanity. Again, a reference to the escape, the rescue. Okay, and then Jeremiah 22 talks about the king of Judah that sits upon the throne of David. So that seems to be a message to the country of Israel. It says, do no violence to the stranger, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in this place. For if you do this thing, this house shall become a desolation. I will make you a wilderness. Woe unto him that builds his house by unrighteousness. The king of Judah shall be buried and cast forth beyond the gates of Jerusalem. The wind shall eat up thy pastors. Why? Because they shed innocent blood. That's what it says here. And for oppression and for violence. Then it says, I will give you into the king of Babylon. Okay, so that may refer to the UK and France, who founded the UN and owned the land of Israel, that whole area right here, since 1916. I will give you into the hand of Babylon, of the king of Babylon. Okay, so these codes in here, the land of the Chaldeans, Babylon the Great, the Egypt, and even Tyrus right here, all refer to Babylon the Great, that great city that sits on all 7 continents. And this is confirmation in Isaiah 30 that Egypt is the other name for this area. It says, "Woe to the rebellious children that walk to go down into Egypt, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. This is a rebellious people. The iniquity shall be to you as a high wall whose breaking comes suddenly at an instant." And then it talks about the rescue again. The Lord says, "In returning and rest shall you be saved. But you said, no, we will flee upon horses. Therefore shall they pursue you. Therefore shall they that pursue you be swift. 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of 1. At the rebuke of 5 shall you flee, till you be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain." Okay, that is really interesting, because there is clearly a group of Christians out there, and not just Christians, a lot of people out there that are yelling that there will be no rescue, that the escape mentioned in the Bible is something you have to do yourself. And I admit, I thought that too until I looked closer. So this right here, that seems to be a message to those who refuse to go in the first rescue. Because remember, Jesus said he invited them to come to the wedding, but they refused. Elohim wanted to save them, but they didn't want to be saved. They wanted to do it themselves. So there are 3 groups. There are 3 groups that will be saved. Joel 2 tells us that. Jerusalem, which represents the multitude of all tribes and nations, go first. That's the bride. But the other 2 groups go through the tribulation. Ezekiel confirms that as well, right here, the 3 groups. The bride is the one that is scattered into the 4 winds of heaven. And Isaiah 30 seems to be confirming this. It says, God says you will be saved, but you say, no, you're going to handle it yourself. So go ahead, basically. I mean, it's like it's saying here, God is saying, hey, I prepared a safe place for you, but if you don't want to come, I'm not going to force you. So if you say no, then find out for yourself. Try to do. If you want to do this yourself, go ahead and do it yourself. You say you will flee yourself and ride upon the swift. Therefore shall they that pursue you be swift. At the rebuke of 5 shall you flee till you be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain. And therefore will the Lord wait, that he may be gracious to you. Blessed are all they that wait for him. So the people, and then it says, the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem and weep no more. Again, that's in heaven. Jerusalem is in heaven. Revelation tells us that. Mount Zion is the mountain of God. That's in heaven. And for those that refuse the rescue, they will be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain. God was gracious to them by letting them do it themselves. So think about it. They didn't want to be rescued. Jesus said that. So those of us that have children can understand this concept, because children always want to do things by themselves. And what do? They say, no, let me do it. And so you let them do things by themselves. So that seems to be what it's saying here. God was gracious, or God will be gracious to them by letting them escape on their own like they want. But they will be like a beacon on the top of a mountain. Eventually they will be rescued. That's what it says over and over. And And Daniel tells us the asteroid itself will be like a mountain in the land. So that's all part of that. Okay, I have to stop this part here. The link to the playlist is below.